Thank you so much for joining us for another Kira Chat. This week is an especially exciting one for me. I have known Maria Fernanda Trochimezuk for a very long time. Was one of my first professional friends and colleagues when we started navigating our early careers several years ago. And really excited to hear about her career journey from this lens and also look at her platform, iOS Scholarships, an incredible opportunity for diverse students, college students in STEM to receive grant money and access to scholarships. This is really incredible because we get a lot of questions from our community asking about scholarship funding. Is it for me? Do I qualify? And especially in the postgraduate, sometimes the students can get help from their high school counselors on college, but postgrad is a mystery for a lot of people. So Maria Fernanda Truchimizuk, thank you so much for being our guest here today.
Thank you, Jem, for making me part of your community, and I'm honored to be today, with you and share some of hopefully my wisdom and my platform with your followers.
Maria, there is no shortage of wisdom that you have. One of the things that I admired about you, learning about you, is your journey from Buenos Aires, from Argentina, to studying in Santa Barbara in California. Can you just take us back a little bit? How did you navigate that? How did you dream of that? How did you think of it? And tell us a little bit about your journey from the high school on perspective.
Thank you, Jen. Well, yes, I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And actually, through perseverance and a lot of hard work, I won scholarships to attend not only UCSP, my degree was in marketing and e commerce. I was competing with over 500 international students, but also actually I won some grants and scholarships to go to other universities such as Stanford. We did the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Program. That was a great initiative. So for me, actually, I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I was given to be student debt free. And when I came from Argentina, I landed in Santa Barbara, California. As you know, because you have been there too, it's a beautiful setting, and I love the community oriented kind of atmosphere in Santa Barbara. And I completed a course because my degree is in international relations from Argentina. I completed a course in marketing, and I called my parents and I said, I want to stay and study further here in the United States. But, I come from a middle class, and actually to study in the US was kind of like unaffordable for me. I'm first generation graduate in my family, and they always supported education and made it a priority. But the access to education was limited at that time because, as you can imagine, and again, this is over 25 years ago, a long time ago, actually, there wasn't an IO scholarship, a one hub like kind of platform that allows students to go there and be matched with scholarships in one area. So basically, I have to do my kind of due diligence and talk with, you know, counselors that sometimes at the university they weren't available because of lack of resources and time. So I have to do all this research by my own. And then, again, through hard work and perseverance, because this is not a handout scholarships, you have to put a lot of work. I won several scholarships to continue and further my education. But at that time, when I arrived, I just was very alone in terms of like, the education and the path to pursuing, my postgraduate education was a little bit challenging because, again, when you don't have those economic resources to go to a UCSB or a Stanford or, even a community college, you have to figure it out. So that's what I did. I did, research. I talked with, again, the UCSB counselors that they were very helpful. And I put, a lot of time during the weekends, trying to win this scholarship that gave me the opportunity to stay in the United States. But that took, I always tell students in my platform, I said, you have to allocate time for scholarships and purpose driven, because imagine like if you invest 10 hours in a weekend to apply for scholarship and you win $10,000,
Mhm.
that is $1,000 per hour. That's a very
Mm.
high paying salary. Am I
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is that it takes hard work,
Mhm.
but there's scholarships out there,
Mhm.
and I'm so proud that I have the honor and the passion to give back that kind of
Mhm.
access, because education is the only equalizer in this society.
Mhm. Mhm.
So for me to give access to education, not only to high school students, but also to postgraduate students that wants to obtain a job, a career in Silicon Valley or work for these big tech companies, for me, it's very important to give back in that way, providing them access to resources, scholarship, financial education through IO scholarship platform. Most importantly, a community that they can trust, and
Mhm.
that they know that we have their best interest. And this came, to be honest, like for me, IO scholarship just grew out of love, and I started it during the pandemic with the help of great engineers that put together this platform. And since the beginning, I think it's kind of a journey. Like you have to, at certain point, I also have a company, a PR agency, but at certain point, you have to also know what is important. And at this stage in my career, giving back is just very
Mhm.
important to my overall mission. So I wanted to create a platform where everybody felt included. And as
Yeah.
you know, there is a lack of representation in the area of science, technology, engineer, and math, STEM. So I thought that I have to really step forward and put together a platform for underrepresented students in the STEM industry, not only undergraduate but also graduate. So,
Mhm.
my mission is to empower the innovators of the future
Mhm.
and to activate them in the
That's so
workplace.
it's really incredible what you've built and the information you've been able to aggregate so that it's so easy for people at their fingertips. And I'm curious a little bit more about your personal story, right? Did you know that you wanted to study marketing? Like, how did you go from why Santa Barbara, right? Was there a certain program in your high school? Were you learning about marketing? How did you know that you wanted to get into marketing even to begin with?
Yes, initially I will be very transparent. I wanted to study PR. What I end up doing,
Mhm.
I went to my father and I said, I want to study public relations. And he related public relations actually to be a promoter in a club. So
Ah,
really that,
yeah.
and that is a barrier that as Latinos we have to overcome.
Yeah.
Certain perception of our parents that maybe he didn't get it, or he
Mhm.
wanted me to be a diplomat.
Mhm. Yeah.
That was his vision. But the reality is that I end up doing what my passion
Mhm.
wants me to. That
Yeah,
is,
that's interesting. For like, I didn't know about public relations until I was a few years out of college. What what did you know about public relations in high school in Argentina and like
Mhm.
Latin America? You're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're an engineer, maybe a diplomat, right? We're given kind of very linear options as students there. So what opened you up to public relations that you thought, ah, that sounds like an interesting career pathway?
Well, I always thought that it's so important, to not only I help companies, build their reputation, counsel them, but with IO scholarships, what I wanted is something further. Like, okay, I wanted to get together a community that
Mhm.
is driven purpose. And these IO scholars, we have in our platform now over 15,000 students. These students, they have very similar mindsets because they're all diverse students coming
Mhm.
from different backgrounds, and
Mhm.
they have this thrive that is really
Mhm.
hard to explain, maybe because some of them and a lot of them came from different
Yeah.
backgrounds, and they're first generation, so they have this different mindset and
Mhm.
drive. Because a student who get a scholarship
Mhm.
in comparison with another one that didn't get a scholarship, and they have the same skill sets, and they
Mhm.
have the same kind of like mission and so forth. But probably when you're in front of a recruiter, they will understand that the one who won scholarships had a little bit more of a drive to make it
Yep.
happen because
Yep.
they didn't
More.
have the resources. So that is what's fascinating to me. And why did I study PR and marketing? I think I am like you, Jen. We are storytellers, and the reality is that I wanted to tell the best story to the world. And
Mhm.
the best
Mhm.
story to the world is really empowering,
Mhm.
these diverse, underrepresented STEM students to be the innovators of the future. This is
Mhm.
the future workforce. These are
Yeah.
the highest paying jobs in the industry. And, I think like when I heard a fact from we are members of the National Scholarship Provider Association,
Mhm.
and there was a study that they did, and $100 million were unrewarded
Wow.
because the students didn't know that these
Yep.
scholarships were in place. So
Yeah.
I have to do something. I'm like,
Mm.
and then everything, when the engineers put together the platform, everything came to fruition. And when you hear a parent saying,
Mhm.
thank you so much, you match my kid with a scholarship, and now he's pursuing, a degree. Some go the unconventional way, as you said, Jen. Like some, they're not with a GPA that is high, but they have that thrive that I always say. I
Mhm.
never have the highest GPA, but I
Mhm.
always was very resourceful to
Mhm.
get what I needed
Mhm.
to meet my goal.
I love that you said that because we have some callers and some viewers that are tuning in right now. They're senior in college. They might be having some regrets, right? Shoot, I should have gotten better grades. Shoot, I should have done this differently. What's your message to them, right? What's your message if someone who's graduating without a 4.0? How much do grades matter when thinking about the next level of education and job opportunities and job markets? Should have I gone to a couple more classes instead of gone to a few parties, right? How much does this matter right now?
Well, that is very interesting because at IO scholarships, we have scholarship for students that they have a 2.5 GPA. And we
Mm-hmm.
have even scholarship for students. There is the TL Foundation scholarship that gives you over $100,000 for a new invention. You don't have to go to school. You have to have
Wow.
a very good idea. You have to be over 18-year-old, and you don't even have to go to a university. But, you know, I know a lot of professionals that they're self-taught and they can code like no other.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you have the curiosity, first of all, IO scholarship offering a platform
Mm-hmm.
scholarship, again, not only for the, it's great to have a over 3.0 GPA,
Mm-hmm.
but the important thing, I always tell the students, the scholarship committees, they evaluate how good you overcome challenges. That's what is key. I have in my platform today, Gavi is graduating her postgraduate at Harvard. She has also her postgraduate at Stanford with scholarships, and basically this particular student and professional, she didn't have the best GPA, but she had the thrive, the
Mm-hmm.
perseverance, and she showcased to the scholarship committee how she overcame challenges. And that's what is important. If you see the big CEOs at tech companies, a lot of them, they basically fail in their first
Mm-hmm.
venture and they continue. So how do you overcome
Mm-hmm.
like challenges? And that's what people are looking for, not only a scholarship committee but also in the workplace.
I really like what you said about that. And I'd like to double click on that data that you shared with us about $100 million of unused funds, right?
Mhm.
Knowing the community as well as you do, what are those obstacles? What are those obstacles that get people from not actually, are they not looking? Is it awareness? Are they not applying? Is it they don't think it's for them? Tell us a little bit about what are those obstacles for applying and getting some of those funds.
Mhm. The main obstacle that I find is that, first of all, from a cultural perspective, a lot
Yeah.
of our students really need the reinforcement of
Mm.
their parents and their circle. So what
Mm.
I'm saying is that the ones that now are going to Harvard and Stanford, I always ask them, who is your mentor? Who is your, like,
Mm.
kind of like like, who do you want to be? And they're
Mhm.
like, my parents. They're
Mhm.
like, my mom like supported me through
Mhm.
my career in STEM. My dad believed in me. He took me to that robotic class. That was an eye opener for me. So what I'm saying is that sometimes, even like when I was telling you my story about
Mhm.
me wanted to go through PR, that I finally went through and did what I wanted to do since the
Mhm.
beginning. But my father had another
Mhm.
vision of me to pursue another career. But you have to, I always say, and this is what I wish for the new generation, figure out what you want to do. And when you have a clear vision, everything will fall through. So when you apply for scholarships, be very, very intentional. So what I'm saying is that make sure that if you apply for a scholarship at a university, that you are aligned with their mission and vision of what they're looking for, and always be very truthful of your inner self of what you want to do in life. So if you find your purpose, and again, I didn't have all the answers, still
Yeah.
don't have all the answers, but I think for people that they think, oh, it's too difficult a career in
Mhm.
STEM, or
Mhm.
it all takes curiosity. At 5 year olds, you teach kids, like, how do you develop that passion for STEM? Through curiosity, asking questions. Even
Mhm.
artificial intelligence, that now I took a program at Harvard, is like, it's about like making trial and error and learning, and don't be afraid of you know of I don't even want to utilize the word failure, because I don't
Mhm.
believe in that word
Mhm.
failure. I believe that failures come without trying. So for me, I will say to the students, I know that it's very challenging nowadays. Like, it's even more challenging for diverse students,
Mhm.
to pursue higher education because of cost. I know the reality. So that's why right now we have to be more resourceful than ever.
Mhm.
Make sure that you know where you want to go, which scholarships you want to apply. Invest during the weekend, that time, to apply for scholarship, and have a group and a community that can guide you. We also have a lot of community members that they're willing to mentor other students in STEM because they've been there. So I will say, when I arrived in Santa Barbara, I was very alone. And then I thought, I should have had a community, like I a
Mhm.
scholarship where they
Mhm.
were like kind of like students with my same goals and shares. So I will say to the students that it's very important also, not only the hard work, but to surround yourself with people that will allow you to grow personally and professionally. I believe, we have a connection for years, and you help me grow personally and professionally. So those are the best relationships.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mhm.
And start the conversation with your, counselors early during the year, to ask them for letter of recommendations. Be part, right now is the summer. Be curious about the companies that you want to work. Shoot an email to the chief marketing officer. They always need people who are willing to invest their time and their passion to help. I started with internships, and that's the best pathway for
Mhm.
students to go from internship to a company that they want to work
Mhm.
with. Because then, before, I always say to students, be very careful. The advice that I will give them: go with a company that will value your diverse background, that will value your ideas and perspectives, and don't focus early so much in the money. Like,
Mhm.
just be mindful that you are building a journey, and you want to work for the best people in the industry that will treat you fairly, that will help you to grow professionally and also personally. It's very important that, students get that type of kind of mentorship through internships. That's why we promote also a lot of internships in tech companies through our platform, because we believe that it's a win-win,
Mhm.
for even recruiters, and for the student who will be a person who wants to work for your company, and embrace your vision, and so forth, will be a loyal team member.
Mhm.
So I will say, spend this summer. Now we are coming summer. The weather is getting nice to explore opportunities with companies that you want to work in the future. They're always looking for talent, and look into IO scholarships. We have a lot of internship opportunities for this.
Mhm. One of the things that you just mentioned was that importance of pausing to reflect on what you actually want, right?
Mhm.
That stands out to me because as Cura, as the community grows and we hear more from our members, there's a tendency to, when you have that ambition, when you have that determination to sort of go, 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 go based off of an external roadmap. So, what have you seen? What recommendations do you have to tap into your internal roadmap, right? What advice would you give to the early career talent that's starting to navigate those internships on what they should be doing versus what they want to do?
Yes, I think like it's very important. A lot of the IO scholars that we connect with, they lack a little bit. They call it in the industry soft skills.
Mhm,
I call them life skills. What
mhm,
I'm always say to students, it's very good to be purpose driven, but you have to have a balance. You have to embrace relationships with people that will help you to grow.
mhm,
And nowadays also, to build that resilience, you need a lot of balance and mental health. So I say to the students,
mhm,
make sure you spend also time, to spend with your family, with your friends, to dive into your passion in terms of sports and so forth. Because we cannot forget about the life skills or soft
mhm,
skills, as they call it, and to be creative and innovative and so forth. You need to also have kind of a balance in your life. So it's good, as you said, to be purpose driven, but I always recommend to students, make sure that you invest also time to yourself, to
mhm,
think about. And there is a lot of noise in the industry, and it's hard nowadays, to be honest, to pay attention to something, to be focused really. But they have to do the inner work and say, what I say is that every day I say, does it fit my purpose to do this
mhm,
or not? Does
mhm,
it fit my purpose to spend time maybe in an Instagram influencer that is making money out of a product that probably, I think like reporters are very credible, but
mhm,
like there is a lot of noise that
mhm, mhm,
now students have to be in tune more with themselves and say, I don't want to spend time looking at this influencer. I could be spending that time, instead of like
mhm,
paying attention to this, to maybe applying for a scholarship, or maybe
mhm,
spending more time with my parents, with my family members. That will give me more the balance to
mhm,
go after my goals. So I don't know if I address your question, Jem, but I will say that mental health is so important to
mhm,
build that resilience.
mhm,
And again, I feel like with the IO scholarships, when we also have our podcast, the Superhero Podcast, we want to make sure that other students, understand the mindset of other students
mhm,
who want scholarship, and also their hurdles and challenges, and that they are not alone, and that they see representation in themselves when they see
mhm,
another, Latino, or African American or Black, or any other diverse and multicultural student out there, that they have a place in this industry.
mhm,
And that, actually, when you talk about doubts and so forth, I would be very transparent. When I started this, I was like, well, I have doubts, because still, every day I have doubts in things,
mhm,
and I said, will I be considered like seriously in the tech ed, industry?
mhm,
And what I realized is that a lot of people, they got a lot of benefit out of my experience and out of
mhm,
other people's experience
mhm,
and other students, like hurdles and challenges.
mhm,
So it's important to be part of a community that can understand kind of like the obstacle and help you to get there.
Mhm.
So yes, I hope.
Hey, no, thanks, Maria. That's really helpful. Talk to us a little bit about the tactical, right? What types of scholarships? I'm interested in like what surprised you, right? Like you mentioned the one on like it sounds like an innovation grant of like
Mhm,
you don't even need to go to school. It's like a
mhm.
come up with a great idea, you can apply for this. What are two or three examples of scholarships that are out there right now that you're thinking, wow, I can't believe more people aren't applying to this?
Yes, well, the big one that I love is the Gates Millennial Scholarship, because that type of scholarship really gives the opportunity of a full ride scholarship that I never
Wow.
knew of. So this scholarship range from $100,000 to $250,000 if you decide to go to, a prestigious university. So basically the full ride scholarships are out there for students.
Mm.
The other scholarships that they're very interesting are the ones, again, that it doesn't require a 3.0 GPA or even to go to the university. It's kind of being self-taught, like the TL Foundation one. And now on May 31st, there are a lot of scholarship from the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities,
Mm. Hmm.
in different areas, not only in STEM. And the deadline is May 31st. The students can go to IO Scholarship and learn more about the HACU
Hmm.
scholarships. And these are scholarships for students that attend Hispanic serving institutions.
Wow.
So this is very interesting, and most of the universities are in California. But I put on our site, we have a blog of the universities that are part of the Hispanic serving institutions. So there's still a lot of scholarship for diverse students. So.
That's incredible. There's a lot of availability. I'm gonna pause there and open it up so that our community can ask some questions.
Mhm.
Feel free to raise your hand or to type a question into the chat and we can ask that for them because I don't want them to miss an opportunity to ask an expert like you know, on some of the tactical stuff on really how to navigate some of this. And while we wait for more questions, oh, Carmina, do you want to?
Yeah, I have a question because I have gotten a lot of websites like Web and things like that, and they from the counselors, so I'm assuming that they have been vetted. But when I go there, it's basically sweepstakes. They're like, just
Ah.
and I think they gave away is that the name and like no essay, whatever, right? So, and usually for scholarships, even right now, just giving my name or my daughter's name and address, and it's sensitive information, right? So how can you discern what is a legit one? Because the other thing too, I'm gonna look into the Gates Foundation membership, but it's very daunting. I know that I'm floja, right? But to like get $500 here, $100 here, 2,500
Mhm.
here, when it costs basically $90,000 a year to attend college.
Mhm. Yes, thank you, Carmina, for your question. First of all, at IO Scholarship, we take the data of students very seriously, as it is our own data. So it's important that you do your research before you provide, your contact information. We are part of the National Scholarship Provider Association. So most of our scholarship come from curated, sites and reputable organizations. And what I will say in terms, that's why I was talking with Jennifer, the importance of being very purpose driven in terms of which scholarships your daughter want to apply. I agree with you, like sometimes they offer on site scholarship for $500 and that won't even cover the books. But what I'm saying is that also everything helps. And I highly recommend, we actually update, and we have the scholarship of the month. So I highly recommend that she continues the search. But it's very important that that this scholarship providers are vetted in terms of, again, we are part of the National Scholarship Provider Association, and I can hear your concern. What I will highly, highly recommend is that, she's very purpose driven in what she wants to pursue in terms of scholarship, and I'm more than happy to connect with her.
Oh, thank you. Very valuable. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Fernanda. Really helpful. Adelia, do you have a question?
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a similar question, but just a little bit of the experience that I've seen students go through with the scholarships, the different types. The big national ones are obviously the most competitive.
Mhm.
And so a couple of webinars or workshops that we've gone through over the years have said to also perhaps focus on the local ones. And so I've kind of kept track of the ones that my students have received and the ones that they have not received. And I noticed that when they ask for to attach the parents' tax documentation to look to see what their income is, they don't get those scholarships if they're unless they're I'm thinking that they're giving it to low income. So if they're not low income, those students are like my students are struggling the most to try to get scholarships, especially for those that ask for an income verification. One, secondly, and that's even the local ones, like the city ones, it's hard to get those too, because they keep saying we've had a record number of applicants. So if the national ones have a record number and the local ones are having a record number, and then they ask for income verification, they never get those. So the ones that they have gotten are the ones that don't ask for income. They've been more successful in getting those. And again, they're not like huge. They're like 500, 1,000. So, and they also, if they do require a letter recommendation, that's really helpful. Like they have to be strong letters, of course. And then, another tip that I heard was that you can kind of like tailor, you should have like a main essay and kind of tailor it to different scholarships, but it doesn't always work like that because a lot of the questions are very different.
Amelia, great
So
question.
you can't tailor. It's
And
like
it's
it
reminding
takes
me
a
of,
lot of time.
absolutely. It reminds me a little bit of one of the questions that Cindy was asking as well, too. There's a lot of like just disparate places and moving parts to this, Fernanda. Is there a software that can help? Can iOS scholarships help you organize and streamline the process?
Yes, well, the important thing that parents should know is that there is a difference between merit scholarships and the ones that are based on low income. At IO scholarships,
Mm-hmm.
we have merit scholarships and some scholarships based on income. For example, the Gate Foundation one is based on income. So basically, what I would recommend to students is to look also at IO scholarship. We have scholarship from foundations, not only from universities and colleges, and also from corporations that they want this kind of STEM workforce. So basically, I will say to the students to not limit themselves to just scholarships from, their local cities or the universities that they attend, but to look into scholarships in our platform. We have from, again, corporations, community foundations, nonprofit organizations. So there is a variety all in one place.
That's so interesting, Fernanda. And Claudia brings up a really good question too. How long is too long to spend? Some of my experience, for example, when I looked at some scholarships, is you don't know when you first enter if it's going to be like 25 pages or if it's going to be 3 pages. what are your recommendations? What's average? What feels long, and what's like a nice short one that you're saying, hey, if you have one, like just do it. Even if it's for $500 and it's 2 pages, that's as good as it gets. Go for it.
Yes, well, with IO Scholarship, we have our search and match system that allows you to customize based on your skill set and preferences, and not only by GPA. So it's important that also you guys are sign up with our newsletter. We have our monthly newsletter with kind of the top 5 curated scholarships, and
Great.
that kind of like help a lot of students to know what is relevant or not relevant, and what the strength of our platform, even though there are a lot of backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, is that these scholarships are open also to underrepresented students. So there are a lot of universities and companies that they're looking forward to hire this diverse workforce and to provide scholarship to underrepresented students in STEM.
That's incredible. You've done the first layer, right? Of filtering, of identifying, and because the community of Built has trust in iOS scholarships, when you get on there, you're circumventing some of those not trustworthy sites and process for doing this.
That's correct. And again, it's just when you say what is too long, like we provide the access to the resources and the information. Now the student will have to then evaluate how much time they want to spend into that scholarship and really do the research to make sure that they match. It's not about applying to a Southern scholarships and doing the same essay. You have to really understand what you are applying for, and that comes to everything in life. When you apply for a job, you have to understand what the future employer is looking for. When you are applying for scholarship, you have to understand what the scholarship committee apply for. So I will highly recommend also to students and parents to be hyper focused on the search, and that's why it's easier when you get into IO scholarship, because all the scholarship are in one place, and basically the scholarship match function allows students to search for the scholarship that matches their skill set and their objectives and goals.
And it sounds like this element of self-awareness is really important for both the university postgraduate scholarship hunt and job implement, right? There's one thing to dream big and take your shot. There's another part of like, we'll be practical, right? We do have limited time. We do have limited resources. Be realistic about what their criteria are before you move forward. And if you have, what would you say, 80% of the criteria, would you apply? Do you need 100% of the criteria? What level?
That's a very good point. Actually, I have students that won the Gates Millennial Scholarship with the GPA that wasn't as high, but their essay and was so convincing that the scholarship committee provided them the Fulbright scholarship. So don't be discouraged because you think that there are a lot of people applying for it. The bottom line is that you have to try. You don't have anything to lose. A scholarship, you don't have to pay back. So the time that you invest is time for your future. And if you didn't get that scholarship, you continue applying until you get it.
I love that.
Get the next one. Don't be discouraged.
Thank you. And Sylvia, who has a son who just graduated high school, is eager to ask you a couple questions too, Fernanda.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yes, I thank you for sharing what you just shared about applying again, right? Because I think that's one of the things we hear a lot is, oh, I didn't get it. Let me go somewhere else, or let me look at these other things. So such a great reminder. My question for you is, are there any red flags that would be helpful for everyone to know, where you cannot waste your time in this area, but let me redirect over here? What would be helpful for everyone here?
Yes, I will say in terms of red flag for applying for scholarship, first of all, make sure that it comes from a reputable site so you don't waste your time. Anytime, I will say something very simple, but maybe some viewers don't know. but every time make sure that nobody asks you for money for being part of the service and so forth. Be very careful with that. A scholarship is something that you don't have to pay back. So I will say, like, in terms of a red flag, it's the part of the student and also the parents to do the research to make sure that the scholarships come from a reputable place. Again, I can emphasize enough for us, privacy and the data of students are very important. We treat their data as our private data. So it's very important that in terms of red flag, that also, I will say a red flag also will be when the criteria is kind of like not very clear. So don't waste so much of your time. Like scholarship providers, they know exactly what they want, the criteria, the deadline, the amount of money that they will disburse. So a lot of students oversee, like, and they don't pay attention to scholarship from corporations, but they're out there. And the reason that now they're stepping up to the plate to provide scholarships for underserved STEM students is because they need them for the workforce. So that student, if he won a scholarship from, let's say, a Google or another company, it's like, okay, well, they will always remember this company was the one that gave me the funding to access to education. So then your whole journey starts shaping. You start going with companies that really believe in your vision and supported you through your journey. So it's extremely important that everybody understand that it's important to do research, but the most important thing is that when you have a platform like IO Scholarship that is vetted and we have scholarship from reputable organizations, you don't have to do the homework. Everything is out there. It's a one-stop shop, and it's for free, the access. So it's just the red flag will be a company that is asking you for money to kind of like apply. That's a no.
Thank you. And would you say that the biggest pot of untapped funds out there is really coming from corporations, or is there something else?
I think corporations are not being thought in terms of scholarships. And, I used to be the corporate relations manager at Nissan North America, and we have the Nissan Neighbors Foundation. And I cannot tell you enough how many times we have the money there and we didn't award it to anybody because they didn't apply. So what I'm saying is that again, if you have a community like, or a platform where in one place you can apply and get match with scholarship that meet your goals and so forth, it's very good to go to IO scholarships. However, like, the other thing is very important to emphasize that corporations, again, offer also foundations. There are community foundations that they're out there offering scholarships. So it's important to always look. And right now is the summertime, and I will recommend for the students to not only think about scholarship for the fall, but also to think about internship opportunities. It's very important to have you craft your resume when you apply for jobs and internships, and your potential employers see that you are part of Cura and IO scholarships, and then you basically are doing an internship in the summer at a high growth tech company. So those are the things that the scholarship committee evaluate when they look to providing a scholarship to a student. Look at all the work that he's doing for the community. Look at how he's giving back to the community. Look at how involved he was she was this summer. She was doing an internship with, a high growth tech company instead of maybe, spending her time on the beach.
Well, that's such a critical point. I just listened to a podcast with the executive director of NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And that's what one of his key takeaways, right, was it's very difficult for college students to translate their experience, right? There's a language gap translate their experience of what they're doing. It's not just being a part of iOS scholarships, right? They're part of a community that's associated with high values, high grit, high ambition, right? It's not just being a part of Cura. It's
Exactly.
going through proactive career preparedness on your own accord, right? Those, as an employer, are the types of people I would want to hire for me, right? That what is that saying? That translates into self-sufficiency. It translates into ambition, right? It translates into autonomy, which is challenging. And so learning how to sell the work that you're doing is also a critical component of this that is not often talked about, right? The two things that I hear that are not often talked about that you're recommending is one, that self-awareness piece at the front end. Pause before you just start applying to everything. Pause before, oh, this is a brand name school. Oh, this is what I should do. And really think, what do I want to do, right? And then you have to really focus and develop the skills to tell your own story, to get the scholarship. And then once you get out, what's that story that you're ready to tell employers? And how do you leverage the scholarship and that journey as part of your success journey?
I love you. You really like did the whole, because it's a full circle, as you know. So I really, and you know, one thing that I don't want to forget to mention to the people that they're listening is that I wish when I was younger that I did more mistakes in terms of, like, I'm not embracing to make, you know, the failure, but I'm embracing the learning curve. You know, I was always afraid, oh, you know, if I make this mistake, when you're younger, you can afford to make more mistakes. When you, that is a very important piece, and everybody has a voice, you know, in terms in the STEM industry. So believe in yourself. That's the thing that I tell students: believe in yourself. Believe that you have a voice and that your diverse culture matters. Because, you know, now with all this backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion, the reality, and I will be very transparent, because before we started, I said I will be very authentic and transparent. Nobody gave me a job because I was a Latina or from Argentina. I always had to work harder to get a voice and to be heard. And so what I'm saying is, believe in yourself. There will be challenges, especially nowadays. But if you have a clear vision and mission, like, nobody will stop you. Nobody stopped me, even my father, for pursuing what I really love to do. So it's kind of like, believe in yourself. And again, it's fine to make mistakes. I always encourage my 5-year-old daughter, make as many mistakes, because you will learn. People learn from mistakes.
I like that. It reminds me a lot of what Sylvia always talks about when she's coaching our community, right? About, like, detachment, right? Do it to do it. Do it for the practice. Do it for the lesson, and detach a little bit from the outcome, right? It's not whether or not you win that first scholarship. It's the
Exactly.
work that went into it, the opportunity to clarify your thoughts and unify it and build a message and a story, right? Use that as the starting off point to keep going. It's not a failure if you don't get that first scholarship.
No.
It is an opportunity, because now you have it, right? Now you have this Google Doc full of your information. What else can you do with that, right? Invitation to detach from this outcome that we hold so tightly, especially in these early career years, right? We're thinking everything is either failure or success. If we don't do this, then I'll never get into this consulting firm, then I'll never get this job, and then I'll never this. But invitation to let some of this unfold a little bit and hold those outcomes less closely. Before we get into the rapid fire question, I just wanted to circle back with Sylvia to see if there's anything else you wanted to add or talk about.
Yeah, one thing that's really standing out for me is what you said. Don't focus on the money, which is so ironic, right? Because we're talking about scholarships and all the money that's being left on the table.
Welcome.
But that is such an important takeaway for me, because you don't focus on the money. And really what I'm hearing is focus on the things that will get you the money. Right? So while you're not physically, filling out the application and signing up for things, what are those things that will make you richer? as far as your experiences and
Mhm.
practice and the lessons and all of that, and how are you creating that story? So thank you for that. Really valuable.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thanks, Fernanda. Before we go into rapid fire, just wanted to close off this session with a couple calls to action. Please visit iOS Scholarships to learn more about how to start this process. If you have any questions for us, always welcome to reach out to us. Look for us on LinkedIn. Maria Fernanda Trochimezuk is on LinkedIn. Look for us under the Cura community. Thank you, Sylvia, for adding the link. Jen at Cura.us or Sylvia at Cura.us. Direct access. Email us, ask us questions. What do you want to know more of? What wasn't complete? We'll connect you to Maria Fernanda or reach out to her directly on her platforms. Fernanda, any closing message before we go into the rapid fire so I can make sure to.
Well, first of all, thank you, because you with Sylvia are doing such a great job in terms of inspiring and coaching the next generation. And that's so important to get those kind of again, life skills, I call them. And, they call it soft skills, but I don't like that term. I don't think there is anything soft about learning, about some life skill sets. And I guess again, I want to emphasize during these difficult times, don't lose the hope. I mean, it sounds cliche, but for any opportunity that is missed, something better will come across. But you have to put the work. And again, if you invest 10 hours of your time on a weekend and you win a $10,000 scholarship, that's a very good usage of your time. So again, don't be discouraged during these difficult times. And we are here to support you, Cura and IO scholarships. And I think it's very important that students, again, know that there is a scholarship for everybody, for people with like a lower GPA, and for people that do community college or go the unconventional way. There is, learning.
That's so important.
Yes, it's so
But
important.
sometimes we disqualify ourselves even before
Yes,
someone else
yes.
disqualifies us.
Yes.
Right? Like let them disqualify you. You just
I
try
completely agree.
and go for it. I love it. This is one of my favorite sections because it's a way for us to get to know you, a little bit more about you and who you are. So rapid fire, first thing that pops in your head, don't take it too seriously. My first question is this. Who, alive or dead, would you want to have lunch with?
Oh, I would love to have lunch with Michelle Obama.
That's a good one.
She's so inspirational, and
Good.
I just love her authenticity and her passion for education and bigger cause than herself. So yes, I would love to have
I
lunch.
love that.
Oh, and I love her her arms.
Her arm muscles.
So she has to give me some tips on that.
Yeah, she's amazing.
We'll
She's amazing.
join you. We'll crash that lunch.
We'll go to boot camp. We'll go to lunch and then boot camp with her to learn. Fernanda, what is one song that always puts you in a happy mood?
Oh, it's one from Jimmy Cliff. I can see clear the rain is coming.
That's what we'll know to add to your playlist. What's the favorite project that you've ever worked on? You've had such an illustrious career, but what's the one that you had the most fun with, or had the most growth with, or sometimes I have found it's both that usually come in them?
Yeah, I will have to say I got scholarship. When I hear, when I had the first phone call, oh, I got the scholarship.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Everything comes to fruition, so that's exciting.
Amazing. What's on your bucket list for travel? You've been to so many places, but what's on your bucket list of a place to visit that you really want to see?
Yes, that's a good question. I've been to a lot of Australia. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And your
I
favorite?
applied for a scholarship there, but
You did?
Yeah. So
okay, it's not a failure.
So that, you lose one, you got the other.
Not a failure. Not a failure. Your last question is, what's your favorite appetizer on a menu? When you go to a restaurant, what's the one that you always order or wish someone orders at the table?
Oh, I love the hamachi. I love sushi. Yellowtail hamachi.
Level. This is the real glimpse into Maria Fernanda. I really appreciate. Fernanda, I can't tell you how much we've enjoyed having you on today. Love your transparency, love your passion for building this, love that you're a non-technical founder like us, right? that we have to look at our strengths, not our weaknesses, and to pursue, and that anything is possible, right? I think that's the closing message I'm hearing from you, is the incredible journey you've had and the inspiration that's for so many. So thank you for being a guest, and we hope you'll join us on another episode for Kira Chats.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you, Sylvia. Have a good afternoon.
Goodbye.
Bye.